and welcome to the Fun with Friends podcast. I'm your host, Allie Coots, and joining me today is my friend KJ. And this is a trigger warning. We're going to be talking about surgery, gender, sexuality, all the fun things. So if that is something you may not be interested in hearing about, you may want to skip this episode. Or if you're interested in learning more about it, you may want to listen and stick around and join us, because we're going to be taking you on a journey through our experiences with top surgery, taking hormones, and kind of what it's like to transition. So KJ, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is KJ Harrison. I am a trans, non-binary, trans-masculine individual. My pronouns are he, him, or they, them. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm happy to be here.
Yay! I'm so happy to have you, and thank you for being on the pod.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited.
We actually met on Hinge.
Yeah.
And connected, and then you were able to come up to Raleigh for Pride, which was when we first met in person.
Yes,
which was awesome.
It was so much fun. That was June of this year, so 2022.
Yeah.
But I saw you on Hinge, and I was like, oh, we have a little bit in common. I want to get to know you a little bin and say hello.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And it was like, I'm always a little like weary on those types of like apps and stuff. But yeah, there was something about like, I remember like looking at your profile and had like a similar thought. I was like, oh yeah, like it sounds like we're kind of going on the same journey, I guess. But you'd also just had top surgery like around the same time, I think, as I did. Mm-hmm. So that was another like experience that we kind of bonded over. So it was, I don't know, it was super nice to meet someone who was kind of going through the same process.
Definitely. I find that sometimes it's rare to meet other in real life transgender, gender questioning people. So it was really nice to be like, oh, a person that's actually real. Maybe I'll say hello and, just be friendly.
Yeah. And we're actually sitting in person, which is rare for the podcast because normally I record over Zoom and stuff. So KJ actually came over on your way to Raleigh and we're recording in person, which is even cooler because we got to spend a couple days together, which is awesome.
It's been so much fun. Allie's a great host. So.
Yes, thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and on this episode let everyone know that I will from here on out be referring to myself as Arden on the podcast and introducing myself as Arden because that is my new name I'm using as I transition. So from here on out, it will be Welcome to the Fun with Friends podcast. I'm your host, Arden Coots. So, yay! Yes. If you hear KJ refer to me as Arden throughout this episode, that is why. So, yeah, that's super exciting. So, to start with, I think we'll start with talking about our top surgery experiences. I had mine back it was November 8th of 2021.
It was a good day.
It was the day of the eating the teats. Yeet. And I think you had yours kind of in that same time frame, right?
Mine was December 2nd, 2021.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Yay.
Yep.
And it was, I don't know, I think I was nervous because it was the first major surgery I'd ever had. But when it came to actually like having the surgery and like parting ways with my boobs, I was like totally okay with it. I was told that sometimes people get like buyer's remorse after they've gone through it and like, because you've lost a part of yourself, you've removed a piece of who you are essentially. And so I was a little worried about that, but I don't think I've ever felt like calmer and like happier in my life.
Yeah.
It was such a cool experience. But we were like, did you have like any concerns going into your surgery about kind of like how you would feel after?
I did. So I did a consultation. I had my surgery with Dr. Garamoni in a little bit north of Miami, Florida, and I did a prep for him. So we did the pre-consultation, we went through everything, but even going through the recovery and all of that, I was still hesitant. I was like, okay, well, I know I want this, I know I'm afraid, But coming out of it, I was thinking like, this is the best decision I've ever made in my life. I'm very happy. But I was definitely worried. I was like, well, am I going to like the results? Am I going to have really bad scarring? Am I going to feel like I missed that part of myself? And for me personally, I don't.
Yeah. And that's, I didn't even like, I don't think I knew going in, like I scar really bad. Like I feel like it's just something that runs in my family. Like my mother scars like insanely badly. So I was like, okay, I knew I was going to come out with like some pretty like gnarly scars just because that's my body. But I went to Dr. Gallagher in Miami, and I actually got her book before, because she has a book about like gender affirming surgery. And so I got that prior to and read that. And I think that kind of like prepped me mentally quite a bit going into it, and like kind of, I don't know, made me feel a little more like ready for it. Cause I was like, okay, like it goes through like the buyer's remorse and, you know, sometimes all that, and really broke down the different types of surgeries and the different types of top surgery. And yeah, just like really prepped me for it in a way that I don't think there was if I had just done research online alone, I don't think I would have been as prepared going in. So it was really nice to like have like a manual going into it.
True. I did. I bought that book as well. And nice. I did go through it and read it as my surgery date got closer. Mostly I've just watched other people on YouTube, other trans YouTubers go through their top experience. No Offense is a British YouTuber. Chase Ross as well. Chase Ross saw Dr. Garamoni, but this was like 10 years ago. So Dr. Garamoni's been doing this for a while. Just a little bit. But what I really liked about watching the videos was being able to see other people recovering and seeing the healing process. But the book does do a really good job of showing the surgery procedures, and you know that it's verified information. Like this is by a surgeon, a medical professional, and it's like, hey, these are the different techniques and recovery time. And I thought it really gave me a good expectation for, okay, maybe no movement for 2 weeks, and then 4 weeks and 6 weeks, and you can gradually move more.
The hardest part. Like not lifting your arms above your head.
Yes. You don't realize how much you can't reach. And I'm on the shorter side, so I couldn't reach anything anyway.
Or just like getting a coffee or like a cup out of the cabinet, you're like, oh crap, I can't lift my arms like high enough to get the mug.
Very true. I had to have my roommate, I said, can we just keep some cups and bowls on the counter that I can reach? And, you know, if I need anything, I'll let you know. I had a towel around the microwave so I could reach it and pull it a bit better, because our microwave's above the stove. So I was just like, be a little T-Rex.
Yes, it was little T-Rex arms.
I had much more understanding and thankfulness for people who can't do that.
Yes, there's height challenged individuals.
Yes.
Yes. And we actually had 2 different types of top surgery as well. Like I did not have drains. I had interior stitches, which I'll get into some of the pros and cons of that in a minute. And then you had drains. And then I also opted to leave my nipples off. I decided to go nipless, and you kept yours.
I did. So I had double incision with the nipple skin graft, and I did have drains that were attached at the very ends, like under my armpits. They're small little attachment port, and then you have tubes that help to, maybe I don't know if trigger warning, but there's blood. And so it helps drains the blood and fluid and helps you heal, because after surgery you will swell and your body does weird things to recover. So but the drainless option I think would be really interesting for a lot of people. How was your experience with that?
It was good. Like I liked the idea of not having drains, because I was a little worried about like I think having them, like something kind of like hanging out of my body, I guess, was like a little like scary to me. And one of the reasons I decided to go nipless was I'm sure there's a better term, but I decided to forgo nipples was because like I know my body and it heals poorly sometimes. And so I was really worried about like having the nipples like essentially die and like not have good blood flow and fall off or like just not heal properly because of how my body heals. So I was like kind of hyper aware of that. But overall, the drainless experience was good. Like, I think I had a really good recovery. I did have spots where my body pushed the, again, trigger warning. This, some people may not want to hear this. I'm going to talk about stitches coming out of my body. My body pushed the stitches out, the internal stitches out, and I've developed keloids over a lot of those spots where those stitches were not happy. And it was to the point where I had to like cut the stitches myself and kind of like help them out a little bit because they were like catching on my shirts and stuff.
Wow.
So
wow.
I did have issues, and I honestly, I thought I would, because again, like just going off of my mother's health history and issues she's had with internal stitches, I kind of was like, okay, this is something I might experience as well. So I was ready for it. I also think I pushed myself too hard after having surgery and definitely did not follow the rules.
Oh.
I think impacted probably like stitches and healing and stuff like that, because I definitely was putting my arms above my head to reach things before I should have been.
Right.
But overall, I think doing the drainless, it worked well for me.
That's great.
Yeah. And the recovery, I didn't have a whole lot of pain. Like, did you have a lot of pain through yours?
The first week was really painful. The second week was better. Every week it got better. The first week was painful because we're going to talk more about drains and blood if it's not obvious, just FYI. So the drain will go right under the incision, and it goes probably in like halfway. So like maybe like it's inside your body like 2 or 3 inches. So that felt a little discomfort. I had a lot of pain like trying to get comfortable, trying to lay on my back, sleep on my back. With drains, you have to have that on where the compression, it was an ace bandage compression, and I had things over my nipples. So it was like a little yellow square. I can't remember the name of it. It's not a good, it'll come to me, but it's supposed to help with attaching skin and wound healing. Bandages, everything on that, on the nipples, everything. And it was on there for about 7 days. So I have that on there. I have the wrap on there. I have the drains. And I just felt uncomfortable pretty much all the time. But taking the pain medicine was really helpful. I don't tolerate codeine very well, so I took tramadol. And tramadol was really helpful, but made me very sleepy. So the first week was a lot of sleeping and trying not to be in pain. So I would say my pain on a scale of 1 to 10 was probably like a 7.
Okay.
For a while.
How long did you have to have the drains in for?
7 days.
Okay, for a week.
A week. So I stayed in Florida, and I had my best friend Matt helping me recover and everything, and I was pitiful for the first week. I'm really glad I had him there to help. Just like, okay, here's the medicine. Here, I'll warm you up some food. I really couldn't do anything except sit on the couch and not be in pain. So I waited a week, went and saw Dr. Garamoni for the follow-up, and he unwrapped the ace bandage that was on there, which was so amazing to have that off because it gets so tight. As your body's healing, you're swelling, and you just feel squished like a little burrito. And so they take the wrap off, they change the nipple bandages, take the drains out. The drains coming out is not painful. Oh. It is not painful.
Oof.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about that, like, I wonder if it feels like when you get stitches out, you know, that like, you can feel like the movement under your skin, but it doesn't hurt, if that makes sense.
Yes, you could barely feel it. They are professionals. They do it all the time. It was probably like 1 second, like,
oh wow,
snap, like it's done. I really don't even remember the sensation other than trying to recall of like, okay, I think I was laying there for a minute, and then
oh wow, nice.
They're so efficient here at Dr. Garamoni's office. But all that to say, they did a really great job. The drains were out. They wrapped me back up, and they say, okay, stay wrapped up and change your bandages on your nipples for about 3 weeks. And yeah, every week was better, but I was definitely Quasimodo for a month. When you have that compression and you can't sit up straight because you just had stitches and healing. You have to kind of hunch over.
Yeah.
Did you have any back pain? Do you remember any?
Back pain. My abs hurt because I didn't realize like how much I used my arms to like get up and down, especially because like you said you had to sleep on your back for like a while.
2 months.
Yeah.
At least.
And I did not realize how much I used my arms to like move around and like push myself up from like sitting or laying down. And so I had to like engage my ab muscles more. So I had like back pain, and my abs were getting a hell of a workout, which wasn't a bad thing necessarily, but it was, you don't realize how much you use your arms until you can't use them.
Yes. Yeah, even just putting your hand or reaching was not possible. I definitely had to keep my arms down, my elbows touching my sides. So like when I say T-Rex arms, it really is T-Rex arms. You have no use of your upper.
We're just sitting here doing T-Rex arms.
Do T-Rex arms. So yeah, you just don't realize how inaccessible things are. But the silver lining is that worth it.
100%.
So worth it. It's temporary. The healing. For me, the swelling took, even full swelling was probably 6 months. But I think by the 3rd and 6th month, started to go down. So like between 3 months, 6 months. Did you have a lot of swelling?
I don't remember. I definitely did. I would say probably like the first month was pretty swollen. And then after that, I think it was pretty good. I even moved. See, I did not follow the rules. I moved in December and did like all the lifting and stuff myself.
You did not.
I did.
No.
Like I said, I did not follow any of the rules, but I felt good. I felt like I could do it. Like I didn't have any pain or anything, and like the skin wasn't pulling or like. But, I would say my scars are definitely like stretched longer, if that makes sense, or like wider than probably a normal person's, because I did do that. Like, because I didn't follow the rules, because I was lifting stuff and moving around, and I'm very independent, and it's hard for me to lean on other people. So even though I was living with someone and had someone who was like totally willing to help me, shout out to Katie, friend of the pod. I was like, oh, I'm not going to ask for help. I can do this. I can do this all on my own. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I also want to shout out Tara, because she is a really good friend, and she came to Miami with me and was my like caretaker for a week. So she was awesome and helped me out and made sure I was, passed out on the couch with my food and water. So
that's great.
Yeah.
It's so
have done
good.
It.
Yeah. It's so good to have that support. And it really means a lot, like support when you come home, support when you travel. I agree with you. That was one of the challenging things of being dependent. When we're both independent individuals and we're like, okay, well, we do everything myself. And it's like, I need help with the most basic thing.
Yeah.
My roommate had to help me like go grocery shopping. We went to Target. I couldn't drive for the first while.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, how much we do. So I'm very, like you were saying, I'm very thankful.
Yeah.
Good people in our life.
Oh man. I'm just like thinking back on it, and I was like, it was such a great experience though. Like overall, like again, I don't think I've ever felt like happier. There was this I don't know, like euphoric moment of just like, holy shit, like this is, like I did it, and like this is something that I've wanted for a while. So actually being able to do it and have it done is a great feeling. It's really amazing.
I totally agree, 100%. While we were kind of going on about the not as fun part, the fun part, the best part is that I'm very happy with the way shirts fit. It was such a great feeling that first time putting on a shirt when I was healing up, and that the skin and the t-shirt touching. Yeah. No anything else in between. It was just kind of a little moment of euphoria, a little tear of like, this is how it's supposed to be.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I think most recently the moment I've had since that like initial moment where you're just like, holy shit, like this is how my body is supposed to look. Like this is how it's always supposed to been, or like how I've seen myself in my mind, and now I'm like actually seeing it on the exterior as well, was when I was in Ireland and I went shirtless for the first time, like outside.
Wow.
And amongst people, and I was like, this is pretty dope. I was like, this is amazing. I was like, I don't know. I don't even have words to describe it. It was, again, just like euphoric, kind of giddy with happiness. And like, yeah, it was so cool.
Wow. The word I thought of was liberating.
Yes.
Is that, I feel that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very liberating.
I definitely feel that way when I go to the pool or anything like that. At the pool this summer, we have our pool in our neighborhood, but I haven't had a chance to not wear a shirt because I'm still very hesitant to not get sunburned and all of that fun stuff. So I just wear a tank top. But even that is just so great. I love looking at my shirts and just, oh, it's flat like it's supposed to be. And all is right with the world.
Yes, it's so great. And I don't know about you, but I never like, that was what, I can't remember who asked me, but someone was like, well, aren't you like worried that you'll like, again, kind of like miss having them or like change your mind or whatever. And it's hard to explain, but like, I've never felt connected to my boobs, I guess, or felt like they were a part of me. So getting rid of, like, I say it like so casually, but you know, like not having them anymore it's not even really something that like passes, like I think about a lot. Like I just feel like this is my body, the body I've always had. It just it's represented what am I trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say? Like it's how it's supposed to be now.
Yes.
Yeah.
It aligns with your mind's eye is the way I describe it. Of in my head, I have an image of how I feel or how I am. And this is part of that.
Yeah.
And so having breasts or boobs or chest, whatever the words are, having boobs didn't fit in that for me. I've definitely felt like going through puberty, it was like, these are chosen for me. Your body's choosing to do this because of hormones. I didn't feel like I got to choose breast growth and it wasn't anything I wanted. It just happened. And then you're stuck with it and you're like, oh, okay, well now you can't run without support. You can't do a lot of things. And I just never really connected with it either. I'm not a very feminine individual, so I don't really connect with feminine things on myself. And I don't see myself as a feminine person. And I felt like boobs were feminine. And wearing lower cut shirts is feminine. And it just didn't interest me. That's not what I wanted to see in the mirror or present to other people.
I feel like when we grew up, it was like you were a tomboy, right? Like that was the phrase everyone used. And I was like a hardcore tomboy. And I also grew up with 3 brothers. So I was like in it with them, like as one of the guys, and have always been like one of the guys.
Yeah.
And I always tell people like when we were younger, we didn't really have the terms that we have now. Like, you know, you were gay, straight, bi, or a lesbian. And that was like the terms. And now there are like so many other terms. So sometimes I'm like, there might be too many. Like it can get really complicated. But now that I have like the proper language to express myself, it's opened up a whole new world of like expression and everything. And so, yeah, I'm not as articulate as KJ is with it, but, because you explain things so well. It's amazing. And I'm learning like so much from you. So it's been fantastic. But I consider myself gender queer or just queer. And go they, them, and asexual, which we could get into sexuality and the difference between gender and sexuality. But I feel like that might have to be an episode like all of itself because it's like a topic that you can like really, really dig into.
I think we would have to do that. I think it'd be a lot of fun to do another one if you'd like.
100%. And it's another excuse to hang out.
Of course. Any reason.
I can come to Charlotte this time.
Okay. Show you around.
Yes. I have never been.
Oh, that's cool.
So it'd be good. But something else I wanted to talk about was there something that was like you would consider like the hardest part of your recovery? Like, was there a part that was just like besides not being able to do anything with your arms?
Hard as in maybe like physically or mentally or emotionally?
All of the
above.
If something stands out,
The first thing that pops in my head is whenever I was just about ready to start working out again. So Dr. Garamoni said wait 6 to 8 weeks before starting or resuming physical activity. And I think I waited 10 weeks because I just wasn't ready. For whatever reason, I wanted to wait and I didn't feel that my chest was ready. I could still feel some pain, tightness, pulling, and I didn't want to risk it. But I really enjoy working out. I work out 2 or 3 times a week, more like 2 times a week lately, but I like to move. I like to be active. So not working out made me feel not great. I understand I'm recovering and my body needs energy to do that, but I miss just the feeling of moving or running or lifting weights, just being in my normal routine, leaving the gym and having that little euphoria like, hey, good job, you did it. So that was really challenging. I also was nervous to show people or talk about it post-surgery with friends or family. I do feel like I have a supportive group of friends and family, but also people have their silent opinions and judgments. So yeah, I think the hardest part was just not being able to be as active as I was. And secondary, the mental was like, I hope that people don't say anything disrespectful or hurtful now that I've made this decision and I'm recovering. But I felt that everyone was very helpful and supportive, which was really important for my mental health.
Yeah, that's good. I love hearing that. Yeah, I don't know. I had a weird experience. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to verbalize this, because I think this was the one thing in my life where I didn't give a shit what other people were thinking or going to say, which is really rare for me. Everyone who knows me, anyone who's listened to the podcast knows that that's like super rare for me. But I was kind of just like, this is something I'm doing for myself, like fully for myself. Maybe the first thing that I've ever done just solely for me. And I was kind of like, folks will be on board or they won't. And that's on them a little bit. Yeah. But I've been like super lucky. Like people have been like very supportive. Like, I think it's taking some folks longer to like wrap their heads around it than others, which is fine because, everyone's going to have their opinions and that's cool. Like, whatever. Very true. But I appreciate just folks like just trying to understand, I think is something that's important to me. Like, again, they may not fully understand, but just the fact that they're willing to listen and like kind of work through it a little bit is encouraging. Especially there are some people that I thought would be very against it or have like really negative opinions that have surprised me and been like supportive and been like, okay, that's your decision. Like, I don't fully understand it, but I understand that it's something that you wanted to do. So good for you. So that's been really like really nice to see. Yes. So and unexpected.
Yeah. It's really refreshing.
Yeah.
And I definitely had the same as well with family and close friends of like, we don't understand, but want you to be happy and healthy essentially. But yeah, I'm glad that you had that.
Yeah, and it's nice to reflect on it too, because I think sometimes I forget that like people are trying. So I should be thankful that they're willing to do that. So it's good. It's nice to do this episode and kind of reflect back on it and be like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's bringing up little memories of, oh yeah, that's what it was like to recover, or oh yeah, I forgot I couldn't do that, or I'm really happy that I am where I am because I don't think about any of that now. Yeah. I'm almost a year, I think I'm 10 months post-op, and it just normal. Like by like the 6th, 7th month, it was just like normal.
I'm still like, what's really funny, and I don't know if you ever have this, but like I'll walk around my house shirtless. Yeah. But every now and then I'm like, oh, I should put a shirt on. I should be wearing a shirt right now. And then I catch myself and I'm like, but I don't have to.
Yes, exactly.
It's so ingrained in us. That like at least for me, like, oh, I should have a shirt on all the time. But now, I'll catch myself in my apartment and I'll be like, no, it's totally okay if I don't have a shirt on right now. And it's like the great. I have like the biggest smile on my face right now because it's like the greatest feeling.
It is. It's like walk around, you kind of put your chest out proudly, and you're like, I don't have a shirt on, and everyone else can deal with it.
It's the best. It's the best.
And
Go ahead.
Oh, it doesn't really have anything to do with like. I'll just say we don't have 6-pack abs.
Nah.
And I don't feel like you need to have 6-pack abs.
I got a dad bod.
You got a dad bod.
Okay. I got a dad bod to the like nth power right now, and that's where I'm at.
I mean, it's a look.
It is a look. Dad bods are coming back in style. Like I'm on top of the trend.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I'm more average build, just like not chunky but not skinny, just right in the middle. And so I walk around and I'm like, oh, I feel like, oh, maybe my belly's a little big. I don't really want to wear a shirt, or I don't want to be shirtless. I want to cover that because I feel better, but I'm not covering it because of, oh no, I don't want anyone to see. I'm covering because I'm cold, or I just don't want to look at myself like that. But other than that, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I think I was walking around yesterday without my shirt on because I just put on my T-gel. So
I was like, oh, I'm like, if KJ feels comfortable walking around without their shirt on, I can do it too.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't, and like this is a safe space. It doesn't matter, you know. But it is very liberating. It's just like, I don't need that shirt.
It's amazing. And I remember when I was little, because I went to school in a legit like trailer house. And sometimes in the summertime, we didn't have AC. And the teachers would let all the boys take their shirts off because it was too hot in there. And I remember trying to take my shirt off and being like kindergarten, first grade, like little tiny, and them telling me I couldn't and like not understanding it. Because I was like, well, that's not fair. Yeah. Like they get to be cool and like comfortable without their shirts on, and I have to wear mine.
Right?
Like that's some bullshit. Like come on now. So now I can, if I'm too warm, I can take my shirt off and it's fine.
That's great. I have a very similar story. Well, similar, yeah. So I used to go to daycare, and it was hot outside, and they closed the pool area, which is a small little pool, and they had the sprinklers on, and all these kids went outside and played in the sprinklers, and I was about 5 or 6, so kindergarten age. And I was like, well, I have my shorts. I didn't bring my bathing suit today, but I'm just going to take my shirt off and run around the sprinklers with some of the older kids. And they were like probably 8 or 9. So they were quite a bit taller, but also didn't care. Some of them were girls, some were boys. It didn't matter. We're just running around in a little sprinkler thing. And one of the teacher comes up to me and goes like, come on, let's go. Like scolding me, like, come put your shirt on. That's not appropriate. And it's hot summer day. You're a kid. You don't think about it. And I remember feeling so much shame and guilt and embarrassment. Like I would never tell anybody this ever happened, you know, for a long time. And now I feel comfortable to talk about it, you know, 25 years later. But at the same time, why?
Societal norm, gender norms.
Yeah. And 5-year-olds don't have anything.
Nope.
You know.
It's all society, gender and societal norms telling us what we should be from when we were wee babies.
I know.
Not anymore.
It's nice to find the culture in certain circles shifting away from that and just saying like, be who you want to be. You don't necessarily need to fit in this box.
Yeah.
Because there are people that don't fit in the box. There's like box 1, box 2, and then there's like middle box.
Be whatever you want.
That's right. We can be blobs.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. That's how I describe myself a lot. I don't identify really as female or male. I'm just kind of myself, and I'm kind of just a blob somewhere in the middle.
Very much.
Oh my gosh. So something else that we're both kind of going through, and I think you've been on this journey, I think longer than I by quite a bit, if I'm remembering correctly, but we are both on testosterone, which you'll probably hear us refer to it as T as we talk, just because it's personally, testosterone is a mouthful for me. I stumble over that word a lot, so I'm probably just going to say T, make it a little easier. But how long have you been on T?
A year and 8 months.
A year and 8 months, yay!
Yes.
So you started T before your top surgery.
I did.
Nice.
I did. So 2017, I started to kind of question my gender, watch some YouTubers and just research what is transgender. I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know what transgender was, anything. And then for about a year, I would be like on and off watching trans YouTubers, trans guys, and like, okay, well, that's really cool. I really like medical things. I like science. I like how hormones affect other people's bodies and the changes. But for me, that's scary. No. So 2018 comes around and I'm like, okay, well, let me just try to be feminine, fit in the feminine box, fit in the society box that they want, the female box. And I'm like, nope, not for me. So that lasted about 2 years. And then 2020, the pandemic hit. And April of 2020, I was like, you know what? I'm turning 30. No, turned 29. Yeah, I turned 29. Yeah, they all run together.
In pandemic years, it's who knows.
Yeah, because I didn't get to celebrate my birthday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 29 or 30, either one. I think it was 29. And I was like, you know what? Life's too short to not be happy. I'm going to cut my hair. I cut my hair short. I had like medium length hair, shoulder length hair, a little bit longer. Cut it and had short hair. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could actually kind of look like a boy. And I kind of like that. I don't know why. I'm not in control of that. I kind of like that. So I cut my hair short in April. Still dressed kind of feminine to neutral up until November 2020. Started to change my wardrobe and like, oh, gonna wear a little bit more masculine clothing or like a button-up shirt, and I really liked that. And so the short hair, the more masculine clothing really solidified it for me. I was like, I don't want to continue to present femininely, look like a girl in society. Yeah. So I'm gonna change that. So January, I got connected with an endocrinologist and a therapist to talk about things of like, hey, is this normal? Do other people feel this way? Because I thought everybody questioned their gender.
Yeah.
I thought everybody felt like not right with the box they were born in. And come to find out, no. No. Yep. Turns out that's just the me thing and other people thing, but not everybody. So that's interesting. But I had lab work done in January, and I started testosterone on February 18th, 2021. Nice.
Yay.
It's a good day. And just even the starting of testosterone, I felt so happy. It was so euphoric because it was like, okay, the right hormones are in my body. I'm excited. I want to change. But I still felt like me. I don't, gender and things may change. But I think at this point, I don't think I want to be seen as like big buff dude guy, man, bro, brother, whatever. All of the words.
Bro.
What's up, bro?
Do you even lift, bro?
I'm not into like the British phrase like lad culture or like bro culture. It's not really for me. So yeah, been on low dose testosterone for a year and 8 months. And the low dose testosterone is because I'm kind of dipping my toes. If I don't like it or I don't like any of the effects, I'm going to just stop, slow down. So
Yay.
I'm really happy. And I want to keep going, taking T to just get to the point where I want to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I love that because it's like, I feel like a lot of people have similar journey. Well, I'm just thinking about my own journey, but like it's where you, like you said, questioning your gender. It's weird to know that other people don't do that because it's such a like something I've been dealing with like my entire life. Like I think I look back on when I was just a child and I was like super depressed because I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere. And it was probably because of just not feeling like my gender was wrong even at that age. And then going into high school being like, oh yeah, I'm bi, and then going into college and being like, oh, I'm pan. And then going into like my 20s and being like, oh, I might be a lesbian, and then going into my 30s and being like, I think I might be trans. It's been like this gradual like journey throughout the years. And then like getting on T wasn't something I'd ever even considered until like pandemic hit in 2020. And then I started like hearing more about it and learning more and seeing people who were on low dose testosterone. And I was like, that's the vibe that I want, or, like that's what I'm looking for, is to be, for me, androgynous, right? Androgyny is what I'm like aiming for right now, which is why I chose to do low dose T. But the longer I'm like the more I think about it, the more I think, oh, I might just go all in. And because when I think of being fully trans, female to male, I get the same feeling I get when I started thinking about getting my breast removed and when I started thinking about getting T. So I'm like, okay, that might be where I'm going next. But for right now, like low dose T, I'm going to be on that for a little while, see how I like it. Kind of like you were saying, like be on it for at least a year, maybe 2, and then like up or not from there. So that's the great thing about low dose T is you do have that option. Like you can either go farther in or you can stop and you still like you keep some of the features that you've developed, but like it doesn't continue to develop more into like I guess the masculine features and stuff. So.
Yeah, definitely. So when taking testosterone, there are things that will permanently change and things that can essentially, for lack of a better word, revert back when estrogen is more present. So when testosterone is the dominant hormone in your body, you will feel a little bit more hungry, more sex drive. You will feel, I felt personally more energy. Some people don't. Some people feel a little bit less energy, just depending. Oh, for
sad
you.
face. I'm like, I was looking forward to the energy, but I've only been on T for like 3 months. So I'm like, maybe the longer I'm on it, the more energy I'll feel. So I still have hope that I'll feel more energy. But it's funny because a lot of people that have known me pre-T that I like meet up with now, they're like, whoa, you just seem like you're like shining and you seem like you're more like pizzazzed. And I'm like, yeah, because I am.
Yeah.
And it's like the T or just being on it and doing something again, like fully for myself, like is reflected outward, I think. So people pick up on that.
Yeah, I definitely felt much happier, more confident starting testosterone because it was just like you were saying, a decision that I made for myself and I like the effects of it and it kind of exudes through yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like it's a happy pill, but for me, it kind of had the side effect of being a happy pill or a happy medicine. But yeah.
I think it's because you're also like internally conflicted. And then when you start finding these like puzzle pieces and it all starts fitting together, it like things start making more sense. And I think that has a huge impact, at least for me, like on my mental health. It has made a huge impact and has helped me like sort through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like so much of like the things I struggle with and that I was struggling with in the past is like so much clearer now that, yeah, it's just been eye-opening.
Yeah.
And it's been an amazing experience.
Yes. One of my favorite effects of testosterone is emotion regulation. So what I mean by that is that whenever estrogen was more dominant, when I felt like very high highs and low lows, I would be just going down the road and something would upset me. I would either get really sad or get mad and then cry or just be crying, or like I wouldn't just be emotional and burst into tears, but like didn't know how to handle certain frustrations, or I was always worried about someone being mad at me or feeling a lot of empathy. So I would say I'm an empathetic person and I really like people. I like helping people, but like the emotions were just very high, low, lows. So like I'd feel really sad or I couldn't watch certain movies because they'd make me cry. You cry at the Hallmark commercial. You cry at the dog commercial.
The dog commercials.
I mean, I get you.
Yes.
But then you cry at the Reese's commercial, and you're like, come on.
Like what's going on?
What's going on? So I felt that with testosterone, it just kind of mellowed me out. So my highs and lows were just more sandwiched together. I felt more in control of, maybe I get a little frustrated or a little angry, but I didn't feel any negative anger from testosterone.
Yeah.
I just felt like it's a little bit more difficult to cry, but I can still cry. And I felt like really even keel, and all the things that were really bothering me and I was worried about just didn't matter.
Yeah.
You have more, for me personally, I had more of a regulation of priorities.
Yeah, I feel like again, I don't know if it's like the tea itself or just like the fact that I'm on it and feeling jazzed about that. But like, I do think I'm feeling more confident than I was before. Even I like mentioned earlier when we were talking, like from the time we first met in June to now, I feel like I've become way more confident just in like being out in public and like talking to people and like being a little less like socially like, ooh, this is scary. So, and I do think that maybe the tea has something to do with that, and just feeling more confident and feeling like I'm in the right body and taking steps towards being in the right body, I think has a lot to do with that.
Definitely. And I would agree with you. Like when we were out this weekend, just, hey, how's it going? Hello. Friendly with everybody. To me, you didn't seem nervous, even if maybe on the inside you were nervous. Like you don't exude that.
That's good to hear.
Under the radar.
Good. Nobody needs to know. Nobody has to know. No.
No what? There's nothing there.
Exactly.
It's just all confidence.
I also wanted to touch a little bit on, because this was something I didn't know until I started doing research, but there are different kinds of tea and like different ways to administer it. And so when I started doing research, I think the most common type that you see is the syringe. So you inject yourself with it. And then there's also a patch and there's also a gel. And the more I researched it, I liked the idea of using a gel testosterone because to me it feels like I have a little bit more control over what I'm putting on and like putting in my body. And the idea of injecting myself, like I can't remember if it's every day or every week with that.
Usually it's every week or every 2 weeks, depending on your dose. But yes.
I was like, I don't know if I'm down with that. And then with the patch, I worry about like my skin like getting irritated. So I was like, I think the gel is like the way to go. And so far, I've really liked the gel. It can be a little inconvenient sometimes, but so far the experience has been good with that method, I guess, of testosterone. But what has your experience been, and what type are you on?
So starting out from February to I think for almost a year, I did intramuscular injections. So I'd inject in the leg every week. The lowest amount that you could inject, which was 0.1 mLs. So if you look on a syringe, like on an insulin syringe even, it's just like the smallest amount you could ever put in a syringe of testosterone is what I had in there. And I would do it every week. And I don't mind needles. It don't bother me. And I felt like from the injections, you feel different things than on the gel. So with the injection, every 7 days, you feel really, really good the first 3 or 4 days. And then that energy, the high kind of tapers off. So you feel great the first few days and then not as great the last day. So I definitely felt more energy and happiness and all the positive effects of testosterone that I like. But by the 6th day, I was like, I need my shot. I feel tired. I feel run down. I feel like I just need to lie down. I didn't want to feel that every day or have like every Sunday be a lazy day, which lazy Sundays are totally great. We all need a little lazy Sunday once in a while.
Exactly.
So that's great. So I did that for a year. Then in September of that same year, 2021, I increased my dose from 0.1 to 0.2, so doubled it. Felt really good. I think that the injection was probably too much for my body because I started to have higher hemoglobin, higher hematocrit. So my labs they were fine. They were in a normal range, but a little higher for my body. So we tapered that down and we started gel. So I've done the gel for like 8 months now.
Oh, nice.
And I do agree with you. I like the gel. What's nice about the testosterone gel is that like you put it on every day. And then by the end of the day, I definitely feel tired enough to like go to bed, lay down. I didn't feel over energized at any point. But your highs and your lows, instead of it being dragged out over a week, it's dragged out over a day.
Yeah.
So the peak of it would be like 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours. And that's when you feel the most effects, and then it kind of tapers off. So It's great for emotional stability with the gel. You kind of feel more even keeled because like in a male cis body, they would have the hormone all the time instead of an injection once a week.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize that the injection would work like that, where you would have that up and then kind of the fallout. So that's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I might switch back to the injections because I felt with the gel for what I'm doing currently is not enough for where I want to be. Mm-hmm. But I would like to go to the gel kind of for maintenance, but you could still have effects from testosterone without having to do injections.
Yeah.
And that's the great part of it, because there are a lot of people that are hesitant of needles. They can't inject themselves, feel very anxious and get worked up, and like, you know, it's kind of conflicting of like, you want to take this medication, but you don't like the way to take it. So there's also in your stomach subcutaneous injections. So you can just take a little pinch of your stomach and still use a needle.
Yeah.
They also have auto injectors, which are really great.
Oh, nice.
So you just kind of put the pen up to your belly, hit the button, and it's good, and it injects it, and you're done. So there are a lot of options. The auto injectors are a little more expensive. Yeah. So,
Totally worth it though. I feel like it's probably worth it.
yeah, it helps a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I was also, along with doing the injections I did in my leg for like 6 months and then 3 months in my stomach. And yeah, I feel like I've kind of tested out
Yeah.
most of the methods, not all of them. But are you're enjoying the gel though?
Yeah,
You like that?
I like the gel. Like I said, it can be kind of inconvenient at sometimes. Like traveling with it was an experience, especially overseas, because I was like a little worried that they were like gonna like confiscate my testosterone. I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna lose all of that testosterone. But I really like the gel, and like I said, it makes me feel like I have a little bit more control over what is going on with my body. But I have considered trying like the patch just to see, just to experience. I do think I'm probably going to use the gel for at least a year before I try something. But the patch is something that I think maybe because it seems like it might be a little more, like a little lower maintenance, which I'm always down for.
Yes.
If it's something I can forget, I probably will forget to do it. So having like something I can just like slap on my body and leave on there is appealing. But so far I would say that there are definitely side effects to starting any hormone. And some of the ones that I've experienced, I've gotten really bad, I say really bad. It's not. I'm like, it's not that bad, but
Not pleasant.
it's not that bad. But like chest and back acne has definitely increased, and also facial acne, especially like on the chin, has gotten a little worse. I'd say, but those are probably like the quote unquote worst side effects I've experienced, which I'm like, I can totally deal with these. Like, I can handle this, and I've started growing more facial hair, which is both like super exciting, but also like kind of scary, because I'm like, okay, this is happening. Like, I'm growing facial hair. Like,
It's real.
let's do this. So,
Yeah.
but I got my first like chin hairs, and I was like, oh shit, this is it. So it was kind of, like I said, it was kind of exciting, but also like, whoa, like, we're in it. So
Yeah.
that's been kind of I would say like the tiniest of cons for me has been like the acne. But other than that, have loved everything about the experience so far.
That's so good. That's great. I totally agree with you. Acne is the worst symptom, side effect, all of that. So I get bad acne on my chin and under my chin, like the jawline area, and on my back.
Yeah.
On the chin, it's more like pimples.
Yeah.
Like not cyst, but like pus.
Yeah.
Pimples. And on the back, it's just spots. Just like red spots, like acne.
Yeah.
And it's annoying.
It's the weirdest.
So it's increased oil production, like that's normal. And like with tea, it's doubling it because the hormones are all weird, but I don't like it. And my doctor actually prescribed me some doxycycline, which is an antibiotic that's helpful for acne, and will help treat hormonal acne, which is what this is.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you could always ask about it, see if that's something that could be helpful for you. I felt like I wanted to take it just because it really upsets me to see like red spots. And then I was trying some gel tinted moisturizer, like some really light coverage makeup and concealer.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I like it, but I don't like having to wash it off, or it'll look weird, or maybe people are silently looking at my tinted moisturizer and be like, why are you wearing makeup?
100%.
So I'm just like, I just feel kind of like, no, let's just get rid of that. But there's also some over-the-counter creams that are good. I think it's, I'm not going to be able to think of the name, but I think it's a retinol cream.
Yeah. Okay.
But
that's good to know. See, I could just pick your brain about all this stuff. Be like, give me all your secrets.
I'm an open book. I will tell you the tricks and techniques of surviving the side effects of tea.
The tips and tricks of tea.
Oh, yes. Very alliterative.
What did you notice any, like, I don't want to say side effects, but like, what were the first things you started to notice, like, I guess, change when you started tea? Like, what was it, the voice, or just like, again, the way you were feeling was probably the first thing, huh?
The way I was feeling initially was just like, I was sitting at my desk and I was jittery. I was just like shaking my leg and I was like, I feel good. Yeah. It was a little bit harder to sleep because I did feel, and I think that's because I started taking the injection. I wasn't doing the gel. I think if I had the gel, I wouldn't have had that problem. But with the tea injections, I felt like energy, happy. I could go run. I felt like I could get some good gains. But my voice actually started to, like, even the first day, it started to feel a little different. It was almost like a thickening, almost like mucusy. Did you feel anything like that?
Mine's like that, but now it's almost like dry because it's deeper. I don't know. It's so hard to explain. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, like I noticed almost like after the first week or two, I was like, whoa. I feel like my throat is different in some way. So
yes,
yeah,
it wasn't a voice change. It wasn't a voice drop. It was just like something different is going on in that area that I can't describe, but you just have to feel it. If you could experience how I'm feeling, then you would know. So
it's wild.
Yeah,
it's really wild.
So I don't know if this is something we want to talk about, but on testosterone, you have changes to your lower half.
Yep.
And your
bottom growth.
Bottom growth.
That's a way to say it. It's because essentially it's your clit gets bigger and grows, and it definitely is different for every person. And I personally, I've heard that it can be quite painful. I'd heard that, but I've not experienced that yet. That pain, I guess, that may come, but that's a thing that can happen.
Yes.
That does happen.
Yes.
I believe it is a thing that will happen.
That was with the voice, and that was the very first things I noticed changing on my body.
I think for me it was definitely the voice. Yeah. Or like the throat feeling. What advice would you give someone that is maybe thinking of having top surgery or starting tea? Kind of going through this experience.
Interesting. That's a good question. I think for somebody that's questioning their gender and they are a trans masculine, trans guy, female to male, questioning, I would say do everything you can that's not permanent to start. You can cut your hair, you can change your clothes, you can try going by a new name and new pronouns. And if you feel like that's something that you want to pursue and continue with, or maybe you feel a disconnect of like, okay, I'm doing everything I can, but it's not enough. That would be something to then, I would say as a flag to say, let me get more information. So I would recommend working with a therapist. I think therapy is great for so many people.
I was going to say the same thing. I was like, talk to a therapist, especially if you can find one that specializes in gender identity and like is LGBTQ plus friendly, like huge pluses.
Yes. And my therapist is also LGBT, like in the community, and has a lot of patients that she helps and clients. But I will say, just as a disclaimer, she at no point persuaded me at all to start medicine, to not take medicine. It was a very neutral, I support you with what you want to do. Mm-hmm. So if that's a concern where you think therapists perhaps talk you into starting or or dissuade you, if you feel like they're pushing you one way or the other and it's not the way you want to go, I would just keep that in mind that that's not normal and maybe get a second opinion.
Maybe find a new therapist.
Find a new therapist. But with taking testosterone, it's a very big decision. It's hormones that are going to change your body. That decision should not be taken lightly. You really need to know what you're doing. And I wouldn't say, oh, just try it and see how you like it, unless you feel there are more pieces there in your mind.
Yes. That is maybe the best advice, right? Yeah, don't just... I like how you said, do everything you can that's not permanent first, and then maybe go from there and start putting the pieces together. Because that's definitely how my own journey went, from like from the hair cutting to the clothes to the pronouns to like all the things. So, and I remember this moment, speaking of therapists, because I had a moment in 2019 where I was just like really, really depressed, really in a bad spot. And I started therapy for the first time and just started talking about like feelings, which it's hard for me. I was just talking about feelings and stuff. And I remember we had been doing therapy together for that same therapist for like a year almost. And I was like, I'm still just like really sad. I'm just really sad and I don't know why. And we were talking once, and at the end of the therapy session, I really dropped a bomb on her. And I was like, I was just like sobbing, and I said, I think I'm sad because I will never be in the body that I want. And I will never be who I'm meant to be and out on the exterior. Like the exterior doesn't match the interior, like at all. And then that was like the end of our session. And she was like, I have to go, but we were going to talk about this. Wow. And then it went from there. I was like, just saying it out loud for the first time. I was like, oh, okay. Like this is where a lot of that sadness is coming from. And then it was starting to like work through that and kind of continue the adventure from there. So even if you're just going to therapy because you are sad or just need someone to talk to, like it can lead to that self-discovery, like finding out the reason behind the sadness is like a big step, or at least it was for me, because that was really what kind of like opened me up to the experience and kind of going in this direction. So therapy was wonderful.
Yes, totally agree. Same here. It allowed my subconscious and my unconscious to come forward to the conscious through talk therapy, through questions of why do you feel that way? Why do you think that way? Speaking with a therapist was helpful because there's no judgment, there's no gain or loss. The therapist is just here for you. You're not your friends, they're not judging you. So they just create a safe space to be like, you know what? I'm going to say something that I would never tell anybody ever.
Yes.
My deepest, darkest secrets. And we're going to kind of open the lid on all of this and take one thing out, metaphorically, and say, okay, I don't want to be in this body. And then you put it back.
Yep. Dip the toe out and then take it back out. Yeah.
So
dip it in. And, it was great. And I also think this is just... because I think if anyone I know listens to this podcast, they'll chuckle to themselves, because I would get drunk a lot of times and be braver, right? And so I would openly talk about how I felt like I wasn't in the right body, or that I might be X, Y, and Z, or, like I might be a lesbian, or I might be gay. And like, I would talk about it mainly when I was drunk, because that's when I felt the most like what's the word I'm looking for? Like
your inhibitions are lower.
Yeah. Uninhibited. There we
uninhibited. Go. That's a great word.
Yeah. I was like, what is it? Uninhibited. And so I would be more open with talking. So I don't think anyone in my like circle of people I know were surprised or have been surprised by this journey, because I feel like it was like the worst kept secret, and it was only a secret to me. Like everyone else knew, and I was the last one to catch on to it.
I don't like that feeling, but yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Oh, that was great advice though that you had. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I really appreciate you letting me have this conversation with you, and if you have any other things, I'm happy to help. If you have any other questions or anything. And
I definitely think we should do another episode, because I'd love to get into just gender and sexuality in general with you and kind of dive into that whole world, because so much to talk about.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, we're going to do another episode, but I can't thank you enough for coming on and being so open and just being like an amazing freaking human. So like, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Anytime, Arden. You're the best.
And if people do have questions, can they reach out to you like on Instagram or something?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at KJ_says, spelled out SAYS _ hello. I'm on Twitter, I think, but I don't really use Twitter, so just find me on Instagram.
Yeah, I'll drop the Instagram in the show notes in the episode description, so you'll be able to find KJ. And yeah, if you have questions about top surgery, testosterone, gender, sexuality, any of that, feel free to reach out to KJ or myself. And I want to thank you all for listening today and for tuning in. And if you have questions in general about any of the episodes for any of my guests, you can reach out to us on our hotline, which I don't have the number in front of me, so it'll be in the show notes because I don't know it off the top of my head. But you can call our hotline and we will include the questions in a future episode of the podcast. And with that, get out there, try something new, and have some freaking fun. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Fun with Friends podcast, a CEI media production. Please like, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast as it helps us greatly. You can follow us on Instagram at Fun with Friends Podcast and on Facebook. If you would like to support the podcast, you can become a Patreon for just $5 a month. The link is in the episode description. Now get out there, try something new, and have some fun. Bye!